All right. Hey, this is Wayne and Cindy Rogers with 416, and we're doing our interview series on the 416 podcast. And so Cindy's behind the camera, but with me today I have Larry Fife, who Larry and I sat together for 2 years at the Memphis School of Preaching together. And so I'll let him talk about that here in just a moment. But Larry, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about who you are. Tell us something about your family and the work where you are.
My name is Larry Fife. I preach for the Cary Church of Christ in Cary, North Carolina, which is pretty much a suburb of Raleigh in the Triangle area. I've been there for almost 8 years now. I'm married and have 4 children, two adult children and 2 still in high school. And like Wayne said, we went to school together, but now I'm doing the full-time stuff as far as the preaching, and then also counseling as well and doing therapy.
And I know you're getting your hours and stuff like that, right. You know, your clinical hours and all those things you got to do and for your certificate. And so I'm very appreciative of the work. I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for taking the time with us. So what year did we graduate? I'm going to put it on you.
2009. Seems just like yesterday, but 2009, we sat next to each other those full 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years right next to each other. And
mission work. And
yeah, that's right. We went to Russia together, and so we might save that for another interview. No, that was a good time, but we've stayed close, and I think that's something about the Memphis School of Preaching is, especially when you find those, that you are close to. And of course, we were close in age, and we kind of have there's 5 of us in a text thread that almost daily there's something going on, and I think that's good, and just knowing that we had each other that we could kind of count on, and I think that's important. Something that we pick up certainly at the School of Preaching, something that is helpful. You spend all that time together, and but I'll let you kind of talk about maybe a highlight. What stands out in your mind from the Memphis School of Preaching from those 2 years? Because we always talk about it's the best 2 years of our life, right? Well, what was so great about it? So
I think, certainly, obviously, the academics in Memphis has that reputation through the brotherhood. But I think probably the thing that sticks out the most is probably the friendships and the brotherhood and the families. And we have our group that we still communicate and we text on a continual basis. There's 5 of us in the group, so that we stay in contact, and I think you need that. Those are the bonds you build, because you're with each other for 8 hours a day, every day, and then you live in the same vicinity, and you share a meal together. And I think that's the strength of the school in that sense, other than the academics, of drawing on that bond. And you still have each other. Here we are 15, almost 16 years later from graduating, and we still have that connection and that bond.
Yeah, and I think that's important. So let's talk about Cary for just a moment. So for those who might come through, and one thing that we try to do is kind of highlight areas that we're traveling through, and so and let the brotherhood know about the Cary Church of Christ. And so folks that are coming through, and it's when they come to Cary, which is really kind of a suburb of Raleigh, Durham kind of area. And so when you come into the Cary Church of Christ, what can people expect?
I think the biggest thing is we're unique in the sense that we have a lot of visitors. We have 20 to 30 visitors just about every Sunday, whether they're traveling to the beach or they're traveling to the mountains any other direction. We're also unique because we have 3 major universities in the Triangle between NC State, Duke, and UNC Chapel Hill. And so we have a lot of college kids that come through, but I think the biggest thing is we're an extremely diverse congregation, and not just in the sense of, ethnically or culturally, but also in the sense of people coming from different parts of the congregation. Probably 80% of our congregation is not from the area. So everybody in our congregation brings their part of the United States with them. And I think that's what makes our congregation strong and diverse, but extremely friendly, very outgoing. You're not going to walk in the door and not be greeted by at least 10 or 15 people right off the bat. But that's just, I think, just the way people are, because no one's from here. So we tend to cling to each other as a family because of the uniqueness of being from different parts of the United States.
Yeah, and I think that's important to and noteworthy to just talk about the fact that when you come into a congregation, and especially if you're visiting for the first time, you want to know that you're going to be greeted. You're going to be welcomed in that way. And we certainly felt that walking in the other day. from the time we got into the parking lot all the way through the door and on into the building. We were greeted constantly, and it was very friendly. It was very genuine, and I certainly appreciated that. And so this week, while we've been down in Fayetteville, and this area of North Carolina seems to be that way. It's very diverse, and again, probably to do with the fact that you've got all the schools in the area, you've got the military in the area, so you've got all that going on. So with all that background, and so I'm sure it does make the congregation very unique in that way. But it seems to be very loving, and so just so appreciative of that. And certainly in the notes and description, we'll have all the information about the Cary Church of Christ and for Larry as well. And we want you to be able to follow along as we travel throughout the country, visiting with our good brotherhood and visiting with other preachers and taking a moment to sit down with them and kind of highlight and spotlight some good works. And so we're so thankful for you tuning in with us for the 416 podcast, the interview series, and we'll see you down the road. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Cindy.
I have a question.
There's always a question, yes.
So, Larry, have you told anyone else lately that they have to try sushi?
Sushi? Oh, all the time. All the
Do you
time.
remember my
Oh, yeah. You're like, no, I don't.
No, I don't.
I told Cindy, you got to try sushi at least once. She goes, no, I don't.
And are you still drinking chicory?
Not as much as because I'm older now and my stomach can't handle it.
All right. Thank
We're always looking for the coffee spots.
Yeah.
And but we're never looking for sushi spots.
Yeah.
And so that was we have a long-standing history. And sometime in the future, we'll talk about Larry number 1 and Larry number 2, Larry number 3, and I actually got to meet Larry number 4 in Russia.
I think we're on like 14 now. I think we're up to that number, what Larissa says, yeah.
Absolutely. So Larry, thanks for being with us,
Appreciate it,
man.
man. Thank you. Appreciate what
for
you
the
guys do.
friendship.